Hello there, good afternoon, and welcome to another Kerfuffle showcase. And I am delighted today to have Jonathan with me. Hello there, Jonathan. How are you from Vaboo?
Hi, Simon. I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing on this sunny day?
Well, yeah, it's all right, isn't it? It's not doing bad. You're obviously down south, living it up, and just putting us northerners in our place as we used to. But that's okay. I've been told you told me not to allow everyone to pay too much attention to the football memorabilia behind you. So prizes for anybody that can spot which team Jonathan supports. He did make that clear before. Okay, Jonathan, Vaboo, the title today, Vaboo, make renting more rewarding for tenants and agents alike. That's a seductive title there, considering the challenges in that particular sector. Could you give us an overview just to get us started with what obviously Vaboo is about, and indeed why you felt the need to create it?
Absolutely. So what it's about is we create and manage tenant and customer rewards programs for letting agencies, large market accommodation providers, and other types of property related partners. And it's all about improving the renting experience and adding value to the customer, both in the eyes of tenants, but also in the eyes of landlords. Our clients that use our service really want to point a difference against their competition. They want to show their customers that they care. They want to build trust, and they understand the value of developing those long-term relationships, and I guess are less focused on purely the transaction today. Why did the business begin? Short story is I've got a number of rental properties of my own. Back in 2013, I had some tenants who were struggling financially. So obviously that lack of rent was hitting my back pocket. I previously was working as business development director for, it was actually an insurance business, but our route to market was through actually employee benefit programs that we would put together for typically quite large organizations because they were expensive to roll out. And one element of that was retail discounts, and they were exclusive discounts offered to the staff of these large organizations. But really, you're talking about 4% of UK employees being given access to this stuff because of the cost. And I kind of at the time was like, well, if I could somehow give my tenants access to this stuff, maybe it'll help them save a bit of money and get that rent in my back pocket. And that's what it was about at the beginning. And I did that in a very, very small way compared to what Vaboo is today, but because of some of the relationships that I had. And this was 2013. At the time, I attended very regular networking events in the property space, predominantly attended by other portfolio landlords, investors, developers, and often you'd get agents there as well. And I was just kind of telling people what I was doing for my tenants, how it had benefited me, how it had strengthened the relationship between myself and my tenants. And actually, so one key point I guess I've missed out here is the reason I did it was because the agents who were managing all of my properties weren't. They were not helping to sort the arrears issues out. They had no understanding of who my tenants were. And I was really surprised by that. So I reached out to the tenants to try and help myself. And it worked really, really well. And not only did we sort the arrears issues out, I developed a better understanding of who my customers were. And the offshoot benefits of that over the longer term was they stayed longer. They paid their rent on time. They looked after my properties better. I closely monitored my maintenance spend, and that reduced sharply over the period, and actually added quite a lot to my net income. And as I say, I was just telling this to people at the events I was attending, many of which I was actually speaking at as well. And more people started asking me if I could help them do the same with their tenants. And at the time I couldn't, because it was just me and my tenants, doing one or two things. But eventually it got to the point where so many people started asking me. I reached out to a number of people and partners that I worked with in my previous business. I left the insurance company to go into property development full time originally.
Yeah.
Long story short, end of September 2015, we soft launched the business at the Landlord and Letting Show at the Barbican in London.
Yeah.
The model back then was considerably different to what it is today. We were selling a licensed-based product to private landlords predominantly, who were looking to add value to in particular HMO properties, and fill that last room. But then eventually letting agents started showing interest. We also started working with some councils and housing associations, as well as the build to rent space.
Yeah.
But the first few years of the business plan, whilst we had a product on day one to sell, we're all about sort of testing the market. We weren't particularly revenue focused. It was just talking to people.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Just understanding the landscape, essentially, understanding what was needed.
Absolutely. So I myself, in the first couple of years, was still doing a lot of property development stuff. But at the end of 2017, the plan was to look at the business, the feedback, the model, and see what we had and see if it was viable. And we had plenty of positives there. We actually spent most of 2018 developing the platform further, and really only started selling to the market at the beginning of 2019. So on a day-to-day basis, we are speaking to all shapes and sizes of letting agents, estate agents, accommodation providers, etc.
I was going to ask you, so obviously you're predominantly leading, especially where it started from, with lettings agents. Do you have sales agents using it? Is that an area you're keen to expand into? There's no reason, of course, why that it shouldn't work in that part of the marketplace as well, is there?
At the end of the day, whatever type of customer an agent wants to engage with, we can now adapt things. It's still predominantly lettings focused, because actually the big picture about what we do is about what we believe the opportunities are for everybody within the industry. So one of the other reasons I launched the business as well is because I spent a large part of my career at very customer centric businesses. Most of the time was actually American Express.
Yeah.
And when I started working for myself in 2013, I realized that I had a customer base, right? And I'd never seen them as a customer base prior, because I had not been full time on it. But I suddenly realized I had 50, 60 tenants across my properties. And these were my customers, and I didn't know much about them.
Yeah.
Right? I wanted to get to know them more. And then as I did that, we'd started to discover actually there's a huge opportunity here for the industry. So, we know that by getting to understand that pool of customers better, opportunities are going to open up. I mean, for me personally, it's unbelievably exciting. What industry do you know where all businesses have two pools of customers? You've got your landlords here and you've got your tenants there. And this pool here, in most cases, is 4 times bigger.
Yeah.
Right? That is huge opportunity.
Yeah.
Most agents know what they're doing on the landlord side.
Yeah.
But it's a quarter of their customer base.
Yeah.
So what opportunities can we help our clients uncover going forward? And thinking back to when we launched, actually, literally a week or a month before, the then CEO of Granger PLC, largest listed landlord in the country, came out and said in a talk that the PRS needs to learn from the hospitality sector, think like a retailer,
I've heard that.
Treat the tenant customer as king. And it's no coincidence that all these big retailers have these reward and loyalty programs.
I mean, I have to state a bit of bias here, because I am a huge fan of these. The whole corporate rewards ethos. You mentioned American Express there, and it's been fairly traditional and standard for corporate business to live off net promoter scores and satisfaction rankings. And there's every single scientific study that shows actually high net promoter scores do align with actually profits and growth, isn't there? One of the first questions I was going to ask with you is, are you able to draw such a linear gauge yet where satisfaction levels from this do lead through to some of those benefits you were talking about earlier?
Well, part of our service is actually we do monitor net promoter score for our clients.
Okay, brilliant.
So that's kind of automatically done. We actually did a survey. I think it was 2018. We did surveys with existing users, and at the time we only had a few thousand people on the platform. But we also did a general survey through social media about we're talking to tenants about the renting experience and how they felt about the service provided by their agents. And the net promoter score was really poor in general, particularly poor in London, like outrageously poor in London. Okay. We then asked the same questions for our users. And our agents got extremely good 20 plus on the scale net promoter scores. Yeah. And what's interesting for us about that is when we launched the business, we actually originally thought we might get agents who were kind of maybe struggling a little bit. Maybe their reputation wasn't so great, trying to use our service to turn that round. But actually the complete opposite has happened, and it's really pleasing for us. We're getting great agents who get it and they just want to do better.
You're getting the cream of the crop, aren't you? Actually, you don't have to convert, preach the converted there. They just want to take themselves ever further away from the crowd, don't they?
Absolutely. So, and that's why our agents get high net promoter scores. It's part of our service. I'm not going to sit here and say it's because of our service. That's too arrogant, right? I think our service helps, obviously. But we're monitoring for that. We're monitoring that for them on an ongoing basis. And clients are actively telling us that when they talk about the fact that they have a customer rewards program, show their compassionate approach to lettings when they are doing viewings with prospective landlords and tenants, they tell us how it really helps them get things over the line. In particular, the ones that use, we produce branded flyers for them to hand out during viewings.
Okay.
So the agents that actively use those, are telling us that it's really helping their conversion more and more. And, there's lots of tools out there which help agents generate new leads. Yeah. We help agents convert those leads.
Great. So one of the big downfalls I've seen of companies that have wanted to get into this, but have maybe erred at first with the first, if you like, attempt at corporate rewards and everything else, is that the rewards become unattainable. They're unachievable in the short term. Give a flavour for what your tenants kind of have to do to be able to get something tangible.
That's a very good point, actually. And those sorts of programs you mentioned, whilst they obviously will work for some businesses, if you have to jump through hoops, eventually people get a bit fed up with it.
Yeah.
So ours is kind of more,
It just peters out, doesn't it? You get that initial surge of interest and all, and then they actually start figuring out it's going to take me till 2023 to get something, which of course is going to let them down.
Exactly. So ours is, I guess, more like a private members club in that respect.
Okay.
Because you are a customer of said agent, you automatically get full access to the platform. And on the platform, we've got offers from 600-700 plus different retailers covering every category of spend, every demographic of person from 18 to 80, probably 65. The discounts are there for people to use as and when they want to use them, whether it's 7% off at Marks and Spencer's or half price cinema tickets or whatever it might be. In the 5 years that we've actually had most of the offers of discounts in place since the beginning.
Okay.
And in the 5 years, not much has changed. They don't tend to disappear. If anything, you just get new ones added.
And you are dealing with some genuinely blue chip companies. I mean, we'll come on to them a little bit later. We've got a slide from one of your clients. I think a landing page you actually give to them to show the scale and scope of the companies you deal with. If I was trying to turn my cynical hat on, are these deals that are genuinely kind of unachievable elsewhere, or are there deals that if you look, you know where to look in the right place, you can get to them?
Yeah.
How kind of exclusive are they?
So the agreement with everybody on the platform is that these deals should not be available to the general public.
That's great. So that is
great. And if we hear that they are, then the retailer will get contacted. And actually, in most cases, the discount to our users is increased at that time.
Okay.
Now, there could be the odd occasion where somebody does a really short-term promotion that matches ours, for maybe a week, possibly a month, right? But our stuff is there 12 months of the year, 24/7. And and then when there's things like you can make comparisons also to like free to use cashback websites. Right, and some of the stuff on our platform is cashback related, but again, if you make that comparison, you're looking at double the amount of cashback through us, and you get the money considerably quicker than if you go on a free to use platform. But we could spend hours going through all the discounts, the details, the percentages, and all of that. But actually, what our service is about for agents is having that point of difference and customer care piece there, because that's what wins the business at the beginning. Okay,
it's what showing the intent that you are looking to look after them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it works very well. The content is engaging, the platform's engaging. A lot of clients, if not all clients, when we first speak to them, have recognized the need to communicate more and engage better with all of their customers, but in particular tenants. However, most of them don't know what to say, because let's face it, if you send tenants emails about the rental market, 99.9% are just not interested.
No.
They're not property investors. Okay. So what is it you're going to talk about? Yeah. And then there's the time element of it, of doing all of that work, right? All of our users, on behalf of our clients, get weekly comms, which say to the individual user, hey, we haven't forgotten about you just because you've moved in now. We're trying to help as much as we possibly can. Don't forget, you've got access to our rewards program, which gives you this, this, and this. And don't forget, there's prize draws every month. Don't forget to enter those, etc., etc. We know that works because the open rates and click-through rates of those weekly email comms is through the roof. 50% open rates, 8% click-through rates. Now, find me another business that gets that level of engagement.
Well, I'll put that into context. Most people will be happy with newsletters getting above 15, 20%, won't they, really?
Yeah, I did some research on that in terms of just businesses in general. Companies that do regular B2C comms target 20% open rate and 2% click-through.
Yeah,
that's what they target. Most don't even achieve that.
And sorry, Jonathan, that's actually sustained as well. So it's not like it's like when I did my first newsletter, it was like 70% open rates, but they quite quickly tailed off. You're seeing these on a consistent basis, are you?
Absolutely. And I'll be honest with you, Simon, at the end of 2018, when we'd done all the development work and, we had a handful of clients, couple of thousand users, we had those rates. As we progressed to over 100,000 users, clearly I expected those rates to drop off.
Yeah, yes, would do, yeah.
And they haven't at all.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's, I mean, what's fascinating about that, as much as anything, though, I mean, just again, it's not just the sole reason for coming to you, but just from a relevance and brand point of view, how strong can that be? That this is clearly something they want to be actually opening. Which, let's face it, the vast majority of the stuff that hits your inbox these days is not in that category, is it?
Yeah, because it's talking to the individual and it's saying this is what's in it for you.
Yeah,
and the brand engagement is happening subconsciously. But when if you go and if we were able to freely travel and you went off and booked your holiday, for 6 months' time, when you go and do that trip, you are going to remember that it's because of your agent that you've made that saving.
Yeah.
You may not remember it over the whole 6-month period, but you will when you travel.
This is the point that I think, when I said to you before, I understand a little bit about human behavior. And let's face it, if you get 50 quid, 100 quid, 200 quid, and you get it as commission, it gets absorbed into your pay packet, pays taxes, just gets absorbed into nothing. If, on the other hand, you get a red letter day or the holiday you're talking about there, or a bit of technology that you've been waiting for, and every time you pick up, that tablet, and you think, I've got that because of XYZ estate agents, that is something that is demonstrably of value, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's about linking everything back to, this is about the agent. One aspect of the platform is agents can promote other products, services, businesses on the platform. So a lot of our clients, who have offices on high streets, etc., in particular, they want to become the hub of their community, and that sort of desire and activity is certainly picked up post-COVID. And so we have the perfect platform for any agent to have a chat with the local hair salon, whatever it might be, and say, look, I've got all these customers. I'd love to promote your business. Give them a small discount, and we'll put you on the platform, no cost.
So I get that, because I think that is absolutely vital. It's great. And as I said, we'll show you later all of these absolutely blue chip companies, but you can have the best of both worlds, is what you're telling me there. So you can actually talk about what everyone is hungry for, these blue chips, but also become, what does Christopher Watkin talks about, it being your digital mayor, owning your local patch as well, isn't it there? If you reach out to those local businesses, you're not just saying we promote local business, you're demonstrably doing that with your client base. That's really special, actually.
Yeah, and it's I think it's very, very powerful. We've got a big product development roadmap, which I don't know exactly when, hopefully some point next year, where if somebody goes to a local business, purchases, spends whatever amount of money, when they pay with their debit card, we're looking at within seconds they get a notification on their phone which says, thanks to Joe Blogg's estate agents, you've just saved £10, and that will happen in every transaction.
That's really good. So could that be any sort of business? So, for example, could it be, it could be a local restaurant as well, for example?
What I just described is when you're paying with a card. Absolutely. Yeah. It's not in place today, but that's kind of the sort of stuff that we've got on the roadmap. There's lots more for that. My CTO is probably watching this saying, John, shut up.
I've always been the bane of that. Look, we've actually got one of your reviews just echoing what you've had to say about things as well, from James Scollard at Clifton's, one of your clients, who's kind enough to give a review. This gives a USP to show we care about our tenants, and a happy tenant is a happy agent landlord. A tenant of mine received 1 month free rent for her opinion on our services, and I received good publicity, marketing material and feedback. There's also scope to make this service an additional income stream to the agency. Well, that's just echoing what you've got to say. And indeed, I think we've got another client of yours. Hi, Gareth, as well. I think he's recently just signed up with you guys, hasn't he?
Yeah. Hi, Gareth. How you doing?
Hello there. Good to see you on board. So we've spoken a little bit about tenants there. Is there any other ways, though, that Vaboo actually helps to reward agents themselves then, Jonathan?
So I guess the reward is about helping them grow their business. We talked about the number one task to focus on in order to seriously grow your business. Customer engagement is hard work and extremely time consuming, and most agents don't have that time, and in many cases they may not even have the expertise. So to outsource that, if you like, to a platform like ours, where it's done for you, 90% of which is automated, We're doing reports and deep dive data analysis in the back end. We're adding value to agents by the fact that we're giving them point of difference. We're helping them build trust in front of existing and potential customers.
Yeah.
We're showing their customers that they care. That's the added value. We're not, I'll be very open. We're not a service about earning a commission or a kickback from XYZ product. Yeah. We do help agents if they have those products and services that do generate additional commission, sell those products by placing them on the platform, because many of the products, things like rent guarantee insurance or that sort of stuff, that has to happen pre-moving, right? So we don't necessarily help with that. But any other products and services that can be offered to a tenant, are typically offered to a tenant at the point of moving, if the tenant doesn't take them up at that point, if they're on our platform as well, then they might buy it 6 months later.
Yeah.
So the agent will still benefit from that.
Well, we spoke about this previously, didn't we, in terms of, obviously it's great that there are products out there that offer a revenue stream, but there's also that problem with agents that get all consumed by it. Not every single supplier and partner has to fit into that category. And I would argue this is just one of those obvious ones where customer satisfaction can't be monetized, can't be blended, and you're focusing on the wrong KPI. You can't have too many KPIs, and the customer satisfaction, if you solve that issue, drives all the other ones in terms of referrals and satisfaction as it is anyway, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And as I say, our clients are actively using our service to convert those inquiries from prospective landlords first and foremost. The primary beneficiary of our service is the tenant, absolutely, but landlords see it all as well. So I started this because I was a landlord myself, and I was unhappy with the service my tenants were getting from the agents managing my properties. So as I said, it's not rocket science what we're doing. Any agent can go and hire somebody to do their customer engagement. It's going to be considerably more expensive than using our service. And if they want to try and do it themselves, well, personally, I think they should be investing their time on growing their business by getting new instructions and new sales opportunities versus what a service like ours would actually cost them.
Yeah, what's the point in reinventing the wheel? Well, you're the specialist, you're the advocates for all of this. There, as long as they can tap into that knowledge and expertise, as you said, you've only got so many hours in the day. What's the point in just creating something that, let's be honest, isn't even going to get to your level?
Well, yeah, I mean, I did have one agent he's not a client. I won't mention his name, but and actually quite local to me, who loved the platform. He basically just said, "You know what, John, it's great, but I think I could do it myself." I went, "Okay." So he spent loads of money, somebody building him his own platform, right? Yeah. One year later, he had one local pizza restaurant on there offering his tenants a discount.
It's not really worth it. It's not quite the vision you had in place, was it?
No, and we could have given him hundreds of retailers for probably what he probably spent on building his own platform. He probably would have got 3 years of service from us.
Yeah, well, as I said, you don't have to preach to me on this subject, because I'd looked at various corporate awards myself and looked at the complexity behind it. And to be fair, until I took on my CTO, there was no way I was going to get involved, because actually, once you get into the depth of it, it is hugely complex about how you actually, how you personalize this. And I think you and I will be having a separate conversation on that one anyway, because I might as well practice what I preach for once and not trying to do it.
Our business, at the end of the day, is actually more about psychology. It's about the intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, which I won't go too deep into because I'm not a professor at all, but I do understand it. And that is not an easy thing to achieve when it comes to engaging with your customers. But actually, I watched your live on, I think it was Friday, with David and Peter Knight.
Oh yeah, talking about
Pardon?
Talking about EA Masters.
Talking about EA Masters, and actually, they said some really interesting things, which I think is very relevant to our business. David was giving the example of how you'd be treated if you booked a holiday at a travel agency. It wouldn't just end with booking the holiday, but what add-ons can I offer you? How can I make this experience from good to great? Yeah. And then, and Peter then went on to talk about the point of difference that agents who want to thrive need. And interestingly, he was talking about, he said this, he alluded to a survey that's going to be released, and he said that less than 1 in 5 people talked about fees as being they wouldn't use an agent.
That's right. It's the home movers and landlord survey they do every year. I think it's the largest of its kind. I think it's about 35,000 people fill it in.
Yeah. So that was really intriguing. And he was saying that actually what people need and what customers want is to be liked and to be trusted.
Yeah.
And and that's what I say to a lot of our clients. I say, look, how do you demonstrate to a prospective landlord, tenant, possibly sales vendor, that you're going to deliver the great service that you say you are? If they don't have a clue who you are at that point, how do you demonstrate that? Google reviews and things like that are great.
Yeah.
But actually, that demonstrates the past. It doesn't necessarily demonstrate the future. And we believe that having a rewards program where you're trying to give back to your customers and look after them in their everyday lives, we think that really demonstrates that level of customer care and service.
Yeah, perfect. Well, we've got one of your customers up here again, and here's another one, Gareth, just continuing. Using Vaboo allows us to open up communication to local business owners, which we have now added to our portal and promote local, which was the point you were talking about, obviously. We have our own products and services and have click and buy options. It's brilliant. Looks professional. The Vaboo team have been amazing with the account management. So that's great to hear off the back of that. So, I mean, we've obviously heard from a couple of them there. What sort of agent ideally fits your sort of perfect profile of clients at the moment?
So I guess simply an open-minded, forward-thinking agent. Obviously all of our clients are fantastic, right? Yeah. But if I was to choose one to talk about right now, who without doubt embodies everything we're about and was probably the most enjoyable conversation I've had in the last year, and that was Spencer at Paramount.
Yeah, great agent.
I'd not met Spencer. I saw him speaking on a webinar. It must have been a few weeks after lockdown.
Yeah,
and I'd never seen an agent talk about customer care, customer relationship, the ongoing importance of that. And I think they on their website they talk about being different from everybody else.
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to help all agents become, and it's not too hard.
No, Spencer's despicable. Not only does he have a great agency, but he's obviously a fantastic human being, and that's quite a sickening combination to pull off. It's just you walk into a Paramount or you talk to Spencer there, but you just instantly know that this is going to be a company or a person that's going to look after you, don't you? And that surely, as a consumer, is what you're always looking for.
Absolutely. He's certainly one branch. Thousands of tenants, thousands of managed properties. You don't get many of those. We actually, we've got Reed Residential in Southend, similar profile to Spencer. He's also one branch, over 1,000 properties. And then you got, I have to obviously mention Gareth, who's just popped up here. He's at the other end of the spectrum. He's a relatively younger business, but he, totally gets it. And he's, from what I hear, they're absolutely smashing it in his location down in Surrey. But in terms of our general profile, we've got small agents with as little as 50 properties using the service, including sort of HMO property management businesses.
Yeah.
We have, multi-branch independents. And then we have the likes, our largest client would be Leaders Romans Group with, a couple of hundred branches and tens of thousands of people on the platform across the UK.
You've spoken numbers a couple of times, Jonathan. Did you say you have over 100,000 tenants now? And just to give us an idea of the scale of people using the actual platform.
Yeah, so I think should be approaching about 150 shortly. We're onboarding quite a lot of clients right now. It's over 100, shortly to be closer to 150. It's actually quite a painful point, if I'm honest with you, because we expected to have 500,000 by the end of the year, and if COVID hadn't occurred, that's where we'd be.
Bloody pandemic, eh? There's enough reason to have a go at that. So, that's first of all, that's fantastic figures in its own right. So I don't think you should be beating yourself up, but of course you want to get it out there in the quickest possible time, isn't it? So that's giving you a huge amount of data there, though, isn't it, as well, which I imagine creates its own sort of cachet value for the business going forwards.
Yes, absolutely. The data we have is, we don't share it, just to make that very clear in case anybody's thinking that. Share it with obviously clients get their individual data through the quarterly and annual reporting that we do. I guess the first piece of really interesting data is, as I mentioned to you, we do the NPS scores, but also because over the last few months, we've started to get to the point where some customers have now been using the service for a year. We at that point, we look at the deep dive data analysis. And in that process, we produce word clouds, which a lot of our clients have started to use in their own marketing. So they get positive, negative, and neutral.
Okay.
But what's really interesting is, we don't sell ourselves as a reviews service, right? We don't really sell ourselves as a feedback service. Yes, data, but not, we're not going out to people and asking them directly for a review. However, we get the same sort of information because of the way we do it, I've had a number of agents say to me, we've got a lot of single branch independent agents. The biggest pool of our client base is single branch independents. And a lot of them say to me, if they get one positive Google review in a month, they're happy.
Yeah.
We've delivered most of those guys over 100 positive comments in the first year. And when I've looked at our whole customer base, we are getting positive responses from 60 to 80% of their whole customer base.
Yeah, that's incredible for us.
So, I'm sure most clients, most businesses have loads more happy customers than the ones that we see the reviews from. And we seem to be capturing a lot of that.
What's the onboarding process in terms of, is it relatively simple? How long does it take to get up on the platform as an agent?
From our side, it's simple. How long it takes is dependent on how organized the client is. And again, on the profile of the client, so we do have an API. Leaders have a very nice feed on I think it's a weekly basis. We get new tenants to add on and old tenants who have left properties to take off. If it's a smaller independent, most team at the moment are quite happy with just sending us spreadsheets to upload ourselves. Our customer success team will do that for them. In terms of, depending on what level of service an agent wants, will depend on how customized the platform is. They're all on the very basic service, they're all branded, but then within the platform itself, there are customizable features, which most actually do use. So if an agent's really organized, to be brutally honest with you, they could be up and running in a week.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive.
If somebody really pushed us, 2 or 3 days. That doesn't ever seem to be necessary, but that could happen depending on how many we're onboarding at that time.
It's just important because there's a lot of suppliers out there that the principals and the agents can get quite excited about getting on board, but actually all of the effervescence or the excitement dissipates because it takes weeks and months to actually deploy, which is a shame. But so it's just good that obviously you've still got that insight once you press the button.
Yeah,
Jonathan,
I mean, what just on that, one thing I said at the very, very beginning is, there's a lot of faceless tech businesses out there, and I'm not.
That was going to be the next question.
Yeah, there's a lot of faceless tech businesses out there, and I'm not specifically talking about the property space or any other space, but there is a lot out there. And I always said at the very beginning that I don't want that. I want people hearing from us regularly. Worst case scenario, it's only an email, but our customer success team get huge compliments. They're always on the phone. Harriet, who runs that team, is constantly getting, I'm constantly being told good things about her and the rest of the team, and that will always be the case.
And of some of those faceless techs, it's probably a bit unfair. Have you felt the need to integrate with other companies at the moment? Is that on the roadmap? Are there partnerships that would help Vaboo?
We've got a number of conversations going on right now. Hopefully, a couple of those will be announced in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, well, do let us know. We'd like to hear about those. That sounds.
Yeah, you'll certainly hear about those. But we have so most of our clients I've described, but we also do have partnerships with other property related businesses who can service tenants, whether it's utility companies or insurance based businesses who want to use our tool as added value for their customers. Most of which are landlords or tenants, but they may have other streams of other tiers to their business, which they'll also give those people access to the platform as well.
Great. And you've mentioned some really top tier clients theirs and everything else. What are the kind of success stories that they came back to you with that you were surprised about? It's quite often we do things and we think we've planned every potential matrix style opportunity out there. What were the things that the feedback from success that surprised you?
Nothing has actually surprised me. The challenge that we had, I guess, at the beginning is people understanding the journey, because this isn't, this is by no means switch it on today and watch all the positivity roll in tomorrow. It's not about that. Relationships take time to build. Especially if you're not doing it actively face to face very often. So this is about the customer journey, and some users take 3 months before they are properly engaging with the platform. Some may take 6+. But from an agent's perspective, we've seen improvements in NPS scores very significantly. We see improvements in the activation rate of users in the platform as well, increasing over time. That's a sign that those agents and our service is delivering to those customers. But in terms of major success stories, as I mentioned before, many agents are telling us that by talking about the rewards program during viewings with prospective landlords or tenants, and dropping it in towards the end of the conversation, because at the end of the day, you're looking at the property first, get that.
Yeah.
Right. But what if that landlord is undecided between you and another agent down the road? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to win that business just on price.
Yeah. So give us an idea though there, Jonathan. What's their pitch? What's their elevator pitch to the tenant? How do they get this across to the tenant in a simple way that they will see the benefit of what you're talking about, of what Vaboo has to offer?
So if it's in a viewing, we provide branded flyers that agents can take with them to the viewings, and it's very self-explanatory. Branded, if you take this property and become a customer of Reed Residential, you will automatically be given access to our customer rewards program. On there, you will find savings from all these national retailers at various levels of discount, blah, 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 blah. Very simple and easy to use. And then what happens next is once somebody's added to the platform, they receive a welcome/activation email, which welcomes them to the agent's business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our service is not about us. People see our logo in various places because we're doing a big customer service piece behind the scenes. And agents don't want to be handling tenant inquiries about how to use the Marks and Spencer's offer. Right. We do all of that. Right. So they get that welcome email when they're added to the platform, ideally the day they move in, possibly before. And then thereafter, the engagement journey continues on a weekly basis through the platform. Agents will also put content on their own websites. Now, we automatically provide that as part of the onboarding process. I think we were looking at it earlier, weren't we? The Gibbs one. So if agents can either just take that page and embed it in their website.
So this is this one here, isn't it? For everyone can see.
That's an example. They can be edited. For larger clients, might ask us to edit it slightly, but that is automatically created as part of the onboarding process. And as I say, it's very simple to just add that within the agent's website. And then some clients like Paramount have done that. Actually, Gareth at June has done that as well. Have taken the content we've provided and created their own page, which is fine too. And then they just have a link to the login page, which if you that button on the top left obviously takes you to the login page for the platform.
Well, your private members club analogy at the beginning really fits in here, though, doesn't it? Talking about the rewards elements here. Look at all those blue chip names just shouting out at you on the back of it. And the thing that also jumps out at me there, I notice as well, is you've got obviously a Vaboo branded, broadband and TV and energy. So there are those revenue stream options still to work if they do want to work with you on that basis.
Yeah, so that's a partnership with a supplier who approached us actually and said, look, we know that tenants are switching providers mid-tenancy maybe, but in many cases that the agent knows nothing about that. So we've put that on there. It's not a big part of our sales pitch, if I'm honest with you, Simon, but it's there. So should somebody switch supplier through that, then we will give the majority of that those commissions to the agents.
Right.
It's quite a new part of our service, so it's still to develop. But as I say, it's certainly not one of the top 4 or 5 reasons to use the service right now.
Very slick though, very good. That's really important.
We can add one thing we can do, which if as I said, if agents have got existing products, be it their own or somebody else's, we can add those as a link onto the customer dashboard. And you asked me earlier about, does it work for sales customers? We're in talks with one of the larger groups right now who actually are more interested in the sales customers first before the lettings. They'll do both, but they're looking at the sales customers first because they make a lot of money from financial services.
Yeah.
So they want to engage with their sales customers forever and a day after they've purchased a property, to be there at the right time when that person next needs to get a new mortgage or move house or whatever, So that's quite interesting. It's
interesting.
It's what we're the sorts of conversations we're having right now with entities. That would require some minor development on our side. But
so many directions it can go though, which is the really interesting angle of it, isn't it? Trying to reinforce best practice behavior through this, rewards elements is an exciting challenge, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's needed as well. Because as we go through the decades and the millennials and the Gen Z start taking over properly. It's quite interesting when I think about most of the team are half my age. They end up making most of the decisions. I was 45 a couple of weeks ago. I've aged about 20 years in the last 6 months. And and actually, it's interesting. The other day, I was actually talking to my 15-year-old son and just listening, watching the way he responds to certain things. I was like, he's the renter of the future.
Yeah.
I need to listen. I need to watch his behaviour.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Cool. And I understand prices start from, what is it, about £200 a month? Is that right?
So well, that's a very good question. So they used to.
Okay.
So when COVID struck, we had a really interesting 5 or 6 weeks post lockdown. It was difficult. I'll be honest with you. We did have clients who were panicking, who just wanted to cut costs everywhere, totally understandably. It was a difficult time. It was a difficult thing for us at that stage of our journey.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of relatively calm. We didn't react straight away. And then after about week 4 or 5, really interesting things started to happen. Clients started turning around to us saying, we want to do more. We want to show our customers we care even more. There's nothing more important right now.
Yeah.
So what they said to us, what can you do for us to help? Right. And it took a few weeks of thinking about it and looking at the overall business. So originally we had the model was £200 a month for the basic service. And then there was an additional cost of £1 a month for each user that was given premium access. The primary difference between basic and premium is the number of offers and discounts that somebody gets access to. Basic, it's capped around 50.
Yeah.
Also slightly lesser known brands. Yeah. Whereas premium is 700 plus offers and discounts from pretty much all retailers that we're all shopping at already. So a lot of agents turned around to us and said, we need to do premium now.
Yeah.
But we don't want to pay for it.
Yes. Yeah. I'm familiar with that kind of style.
So what happened was, actually what happened in the second half of 19, a lot of clients were actually opting to do premium. When we were talking to the larger clients, actually it was still quite a big additional cost. So we did negotiate with those clients. And so post-COVID, when so many of our clients said we need to do premium, can you do it for free? We looked at the whole business and said, right, what do we need to charge for premium if everyone was using it to maintain the same revenue levels? And we came to a new model whereby now, if a client just wants to say they have a rewards program and tell their customers and nothing more, that's just £50 a month.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. Amazing.
If they want to do premium, then it starts at £1 a month.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we now have a tiered pricing level that reduces based on the number of tenants somebody has. So what we're saying to Kerfuffle members is, whatever tier you fall at, you'll actually pay the next price down effectively. So up to 100, our new model, up to 100 tenants is £1 a month still.
Yeah.
But then it drops down to 50 pence for the next 100. Okay. So the next, if somebody's got 200, they'll pay 50 pence per user for the whole 200.
Yeah.
What we're saying to Kerfuffle members is, you will pay a maximum of 50 pence.
Yep.
So, i.e., 50% discount. But if you're a larger agent, you could be paying as little as 25, 30 pence.
Wow, that is exceptional. Thank you for obviously thinking of our members there, and I just in general, actually, I think one of the nicest things about SAT where I am is how many suppliers were really forward thinking and actually saw what agents were going for, didn't just kind of pretend it wasn't happening or anything else there, and look, obviously looking after their own business as well, but proactively tried to share the pain and look at a way of getting taking things forwards. And I think what you've done there is you're going to, without a shadow of a doubt, you'll get more people trying your obviously the Vaboo proposition, and ultimately having confidence in it, they're going to stick with it for the long term as well, haven't they? So it's not.
Yeah. Fortunately, our retention rate has been great. And the post-COVID era was a true test of our business model and our proposition. And as I say, it was a very, very stressful 4 or 5 weeks post-lockdown, but fortunately it all turned round. We've got clients. We were able to send emails to thousands, if not tens of thousands of users on behalf of existing clients saying, you've now got premium access. We've covered the cost because we want to help you at this difficult time. And you can imagine the level of engagement that got.
Yeah.
And good PR for our clients, right?
It's exceptional. Yeah, it's really good. Well, I just think it's just such a, sorry, just putting the deal up on there as well. And for anyone that wants to have a look at the some of those obviously landing pages as well that Vaboo have done, they're up there and they are all very good. Gareth had to run off earlier, by the way, so I should have said he was running. So anyway, that's really good, Jonathan. Is there anything else we need to know, do you think, in terms of there? Obviously, if anyone is keen to know, they should go to your landing page, click on the I'm interested, and obviously all inquiries will be forwarded on, or go directly to obviously Vaboo and just mention you're a Kerfuffle member.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what I'll do as well, Simon. We sent out an email to our newsletter list earlier today, where we also said for people who come on board this month, we will give the first month free, and we're also waiving. We have a small setup fee. That's just a one-off. We're waiving that as well. So I'm happy to extend that to your customers for this month as well.
Double whammy, you're feeling in. We better get you off before. Never mind your CTO. Your whole board's going to come after you.
It's a great. There's never a bad time to launch a rewards program. Yeah. But if there was a best time, it's now in the run up to Christmas, because people are going to be spending money at Christmas.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
So to give them time to familiarise themselves with the program, and then save that money come December, and then clearly. Post COVID, furlough schemes ending, purse strings are going to be tightened for all of us. So there's probably never been a better time.
Well, the point is as well is there's always been a gap growing, and in fact, Peter highlighted again, didn't he, on Friday, looking just the raw statistics. The best are getting better, and the rest are just happy to sit back in the pack. And that's what this is about: being the Spencer Lawrences and putting clear distance between you, so that you can charge the fee that you ultimately deserve, don't you? So,
absolutely. And I think the other thing Peter said, it's not about sales and lettings. It's about sales and property management.
Yeah.
Right. And that is bang on. That's where the opportunity is for every single agent. As going back to what I said at the beginning, most agents have got a pool of customers 4 times bigger than the one they've traditionally focused on. Tell me another business that's got that.
Yeah. Great.
I've not seen it anywhere. And I worked across so many industries when I was at Amex, and I've never seen it. It's really exciting.
It jumped out in your bio bit. That was that you saw that excitement of that challenge that you spoke about so lucidly there. And Jonathan, just in terms of there's people who are instinctively they like the sound of it, but they don't particularly have the confidence that they have all the answers. Are you able to actually advise them as well as the best ways to do these campaigns? Do they get that kind of advisory capacity from you, or do they have to kind of just go and find out about these things themselves?
No. What, in terms of once they've launched, you mean?
Yeah, when they're launching, what's the best way to get this out to tenants and indeed to market it?
Yeah. I mean, as I said, absolutely. The customer success team take each client on a journey. They go through the process of saying, right, step 1, let's get an email out to all your customers to say this is coming. This is something positive you're doing. You should be shouting about it. Yeah. Step 2, make sure you've got that content on your website.
Yeah.
Step 3, launch. Get your tenants in the system. Get the one-to-one emails out to everybody, and then ongoing thereafter. In most cases, clients are speaking to the customer success team every month, and maybe switching on one aspect of the service which they haven't yet used. So the other things that we could do is some clients want to get important pieces of news about their business out to their clients, right? They're not sending emails currently. If they are sending emails, they're not really being opened, and tenants in particular are certainly not going to their websites once they've moved in. So our platforms are really great middle grounds to share that content. And we have clients who also tell us to drive people to their social media pages. You can report if any agent is using tools like FixFlow. We're another access point for that, to give those tools much more visibility. There's no extra cost for doing any of that stuff. We have 2 basic levels. So there's basic, then there's like a mid tier where it includes the customization, which is a bit more than £50 a month. But if they want that, it's a no-brainer. So yeah, the hand is held throughout the journey. What we find is that most clients know what they're doing within the first few months, and then tell us what they want. But we'll never, as I said earlier, we're not a faceless tech company. We always want to make sure clients are maximising the service.
It's really good to hear. And what is the contractual period, Jonathan? How long do they have to sign up for?
So the commitment is 12 months initially. Because as I said, what our service is about is the data side and the engagement side, and that doesn't happen in 1 to 3 months.
Yeah, you need to be able to prove it's working and get the metrics of improvement back, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And let's say for £600 a year commitment, which is the cheapest end. If you want to go for premium, fantastic.
Yeah.
But £600 a year, it's less than an advert in a magazine.
Yeah, perfect. Well, on that note, look, I think you've got a really exciting proposition there. I mean, clearly the uptake is just sensational anyway, shows that, let's face it, most importantly, the clients are feeling that as well. So I think that'd be really, really interesting actually to have another sort of panel show with you in a few weeks or months' time. Let's get a few of your clients on and talk about how they use it as well. That's always nice to hear as well. Thank you very much for coming up with that deal. That's a sensational deal for our members. So really pleased by that. And I urge everyone to get in contact. Jonathan, thanks very much for taking time out with us today.
Cheers, Simon. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, everybody. Cheerio.